Listening to Maryland, Kevin Anderson, the athletic director, is addressing the media.
Randy's done a lot of great work. He helped us tremendously on our mission academically, and he's developed a lot of great young men who've played football here. Over the past 2 years, we had shown improvement. We've gone to 2 bowl games, but over the last 6 games, we had a significant setback, and that's why I made my decision. We still have 6 games to go, and the remaining games are important to us and our seniors. We can make a difference, and we can make a change in those 6 games, and one of my expectations is that we will see progress. I've also taken this time, and after I met with Randy, I met with our offensive coordinator, Mike Loxley, and I asked Mike would he be interested and would he be willing to take the interim head coaching job, and Mike has agreed to do this. Now, many of you don't know, Mike and I go back a long way. We've known each other over 10, 15 years. I've seen him grow up as a person, as a man, and as a football coach. And I think if there's any time for Mike to take over the program now and help us move in a positive direction, now is the time. Mike's grown up in the Washington, D.C. area. He went to Blue High School, is that correct?
Yep.
Mike has a wonderful family. His children attend schools in the district, and I'm confident that Mike's going to do the right thing for our football program, for our university, and we'll move on from there. At this point, I'd like to ask Mike to come up and say a few words.
First of all, I want to thank Randy and his wife Eileen for giving me the opportunity to come back home 4 years ago. And Randy opened up the doors to Maryland for me and gave me the opportunity to come back. And I'll be grateful, forever grateful for him for doing that for me. I also am appreciative of Kevin and all the athletic staff for their confidence in me at this time to lead the program. I had an opportunity to meet with the staff. I had an opportunity to meet with the team. And I can tell you that we are all committed to finishing the job that we started 6 weeks ago. We have a bye week coming up, which gives us an opportunity to go back and take a look at all 3 phases of our program, as well as recruiting. And we've made the commitment to give our focus, energy, and effort to finishing up this season as strong as we could possibly finish. Those are the expectations that we have as a staff, and those are the expectations that our players have as well. So, again, I'm appreciative of the opportunity to lead the program at this time, and also thankful again for the opportunity Randy gave me and my family to come back home. Thanks.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Coach Loxley. We'll now open it up for questions to the media. If you can go ahead and please wait for the microphone. Also, please share your name and affiliation prior to asking your question. Questions, please.
For Kevin.
Don Marcus.
Don Marcus from the Baltimore Sun. How long ago did you start thinking about this move, and when did you decide to make the move?
This morning when I woke up, I had made my decision. I hadn't made a decision until this morning. It started back second game of the season, I believe, when we looked at how we played, and there were some questions, and as we progressed or did not show signs of progress in the way that we were losing, really brought this to my attention that it might need to be addressed.
Just to follow up, the reports last Friday in, I think it was Yahoo and ESPN, that a decision had been made were not true, and also, did yesterday's game give you any pause in terms of making that call when the game was competitive for 3 quarters?
Well, Don, I could tell you that no one talked to me, and I didn't tell anybody what I was going to do and when I was going to do it. Yesterday, we lost by 21 points.
Question for Kevin. Financially, how are you guys doing this? Is this coming from state funding, or is this going to have to be a fundraising effort with regard to Randy's contract?
Roman, one thing, we don't receive any state funds, so it won't come out of state money. The second thing, there is a short-term cost, but we feel that there are going to be long-term benefits, and that entering the Big Ten and being associated with the conference, it has changed our economic model, and we'll be able to weather this.
Peter?
Kevin Peter Schmuck, Baltimore Sun. As you go forward, has Mike been told that he can earn the permanent job, or is this a wide open process and you're going to start right away looking at all options?
Well, when I sat down briefly with Mike, because this thing was a whirlwind today. I met with Randy. We had a short period of time before we were going to meet with the team, so I had to walk in and ask Mike, would he be interested and willing to be able to take this over, and he said yes. So we haven't even talked about how we're going to move forward, but I expect Michael to do a great job and to be a candidate for this position, and we'll go on from there.
Don?
Kevin, unlike 5 years ago, when you had about a month to make that call, hire somebody, did the timing of it come into play with the bye week, as well as with the fact that you think that you have a better chance to make a more widespread search, and also how much more attractive is this job than it was 5 years ago, given the Big Ten and given the new indoor practice facility?
That's a great question. To address the first part of your question, is that when I decided this morning that we were going to make a change, that I knew it was the best possible period, if there is one, to be able to let Michael come in here and prepare for 2 weeks and have the bye going into the Penn State game. So that did weigh heavily on my decision. Yes, things have changed. We have more resources than we had when Randy came in 5 years ago. We're looking at, in a couple of years, we'll have an indoor facility, and that we have a better revenue stream. But I think also playing in the Big Ten, playing football in the Big Ten, will make it an attractive job. And so I do think we're in a better position than we were 5 years ago.
For Kevin, Alex Kirshner, the Cedar Times. What lessons do you think you can take from the last time around in the coaching search and in previous searches in your career that you can apply as you look for the next head coach, whether it's Mike or anybody else?
That's a great question. Well, as we grow in whatever endeavor we're involved in, I think that you learn certain things, and you know what to ask and what not to ask. You know what to look for and not to look for. So I will go down that path, and I know that we want somebody who's going to come in here and continue the work that we've done and be successful on the football field. It's very important that we have all three aspects of this program, that we have somebody who's going to be committed to the academic mission, to developing good men, and also to win on the field. And so those are three elements that will be very important. We want somebody who's going to come in here and excite the fan base, and somebody who will be able to do that. So those are some of the things, and some of the things I learned. And there's questions that I know to ask now, and there's things that I'll be looking for. And now we're such a data-driven society that I believe that the next time we sit down with anybody, and we'll have data that will prove what their past has presented and what they've done, and so we'll take all of that and we'll bring forth a great football coach.
Kevin over here. Ryan Blasham with the Diamondback. This decision comes 103 days after announcing Edsall's contract extension. How do you justify that to the fans?
Well, I looked at the body of work, and so like I said, the last 2 years we've gone to a bowl game, and that we have a potentially great recruiting class coming in here. Part of it's thanking Michael. And the question was asked about stability and where the program was going, and at that time I thought that we were going to continue to progress, and now the record shows them how we played. I had great concerns, and so that's how I justify doing that, and I stand by it.
Kevin, Dan Steinberg from the Washington Post. You mentioned exciting the fans a moment ago. I'm curious what you think would excite the fans and maybe why Randy wasn't able to do that.
Well, I could tell you that believe that if we look at football today, that we want the fans want exciting, wide open offense, and I think that part of why we weren't successful these last 6 games is that we're going to open up the offense, and there's things that we can do that we did yesterday at Ohio State, and so I think we're going to continue and embellish that. I believe that you look at some of the better coaches and the great coaches is that they bring that kind of enthusiasm to the game, and that's what I'll be looking for, and that's what we'll get.
Kevin, Kristen Burchett, WSA 9. Either Kevin or Mike could answer this. How much have you guys talked to the players about this, and can you share with us some of their reactions and thoughts regarding this move going forward?
Mike, why don't you start with that?
I had an opportunity to address the team after Kevin spoke with them, and it was a short meeting. We're trying to keep the guys on a normal schedule. The big thing is obviously change is tough. And as we told them, there's 2 things we can do with the change. We can dwell on it or we can move forward. And as a team and as a program, we made the decision to move forward.
Yeah, on the same lines, what Mike just said, the one thing that we asked them to demonstrate moving this day forward is that football is a passionate game. And you need to have love and passion. And the other thing that we want them to do is go out there and have fun. We've got 6 games left, and we don't want it to be for naught. And their legacy could be that we're going to go out there and compete and win these next 6 games and move on from there.
Mike, Roman Subs from Washington Post. What are your plans, for the last 6 games, and how much do you, plan to change the system or try to transform the system from what Randy had the first 6 games to now?
The big thing, Roman, is we've got, the bye week coming up, and, we have a system in place per se from a structure standpoint. Obviously, philosophically, as a coach, we all have our own individual philosophies, and, there are some things that as we go as a staff and as a program, we take a look at things over this upcoming week. That if we feel like we need to make the necessary changes that will enable us to win games, we won't hesitate to do it. Do I see us coming in and making wholesale changes? I don't think that would be productive for us as a team, but as I told the fellas, there will be some small tweaks of how we do some things around here, and that's just based off of my philosophy as opposed to necessarily how we did it under coach.
Don?
This is from Mike. How much more prepared do you feel now going into this situation than you did into New Mexico? And is there more or less pressure, given that this is an interim situation and maybe a situation to prove yourself, to get a job as opposed to have a job?
Well, number one, it's like having kids. When you have the first one, you're learning by trial. And obviously, the second one comes, and because of those experiences, you're able to learn from them and not necessarily make some of the same mistakes you made the first time or the first go-around. As far as, my expectations, the only expectations I have, as the interim is to find a way to make these next 6 to 7 weeks for our players as productive and as fun as we can possibly make it. There's still a lot of football left to be played. We are in position to still reach some of the goals that we set going into this thing. And, as a staff and as a team, again, we made the commitment. We talked about being all in. Well, we've made the commitment to finish the job that we started. And, that's really all I'm concerned with, Donna.
And just to follow up on a similar line with Kevin, you touched on it before. how much more prepared are you to make the call this time compared to 5 years ago, and how much more pressure do you feel because of the way things turned out, if at all?
Well, the way things turned out, like I said, this season, we've come up short on the field. But where we were as a program 5 years ago and where we are now, I'm very proud to say that we've made vast improvements in many areas. And again, I said that, this season has been, up to this point, disappointing because I thought we would have been further along. As we all grow older, I think we get wiser. And that, now that we will have an opportunity to look forward and we have some time, we'll vet areas in which we think will fulfill our needs for a head football coach. But right now, Mike Locksley is our interim head football coach, and I've got all the faith that he's going to do well these next 6 games, and we'll approach that when we get to it.
Mike, Daniel Martin from CSN. As with kind of any decision, the guys in your locker room, I assume there certain people will feel a certain way about things. So how do you, as the interim head coach, become a unifying force and bring together everybody who feels differently about today's news and get them going in one direction for these final 6 games?
The good thing about this team is I don't think that there was such a big division in terms of, obviously this is shocking news to all of us, and having been on both sides of it here the last few years, I think the initial shock, we all have to deal with the emotions that come along with the tough decisions that have been made. But I think ultimately when you recruit the right kind of guys, and we have the right kind of guys in our program, we're all competitive, we're all prideful, and I think that we'll rally this thing together. I know we will. These kids want to go out and win. As a coaching staff, we don't coach to go out and lose ball games, but somehow, some way, we've got to, find a way to get these guys again moving forward and continuing the process of improving the program here the next 6 weeks, and that's really all the focus will be on.
Okay, 2 more questions, Peter and then Dan.
Kevin, I know you said that this started kind of fulminating after the Bowling Green game, but last year, as uplifting as it was for most of the season, you had a pretty stark turnaround against Rutgers, and then you finished with two losses. You went from what could have been a really, really good season to just a good season. Did that change anything in your mind going forward, and did that contribute to this at all?
First of all, it was very disappointing that I had not made a decision until this morning, and the way that things had portrayed last week. I want to personally apologize to Randy because that wasn't the way it was supposed to happen, and I don't know who decided last Thursday that I had made a decision, but I hadn't until this morning. But to get to your point, that did weigh on my decision, and that we have had discussions about that. And, it would have been a very good season, but and it was in many ways. But you have to look back at the whole body of work, and I've done that, and so that was a contributing factor.
Dan, last question, please.
Daniel Gahan from the Baltimore Sun. For Mike, from a football standpoint, yesterday the way the offense played seemed just a little bit different from what we've seen in the first 5 games of the season. Moving forward, do you anticipate us seeing more of kind of what we saw yesterday, or do you have any philosophical shifts moving forward?
Well, number one, stabilizing the quarterback position first and foremost was the most important thing for us to do, and what you saw yesterday was a byproduct of us stabilizing it. The decision was made last Sunday with Coach and I that we were going to make the commitment to Perry Hills as our starting quarterback, and that we, he wouldn't have to look over his shoulders. And because of the skill set that Perry brings to the program and to our offense, we have to build it around that. What you saw earlier in the year was based off of the type of quarterback we was playing with Caleb Rowe, more of a pro-style drop-back guy. But, once we made the decision to go with Perry, Perry's skill set enable us to do some things offensively that we displayed yesterday, and we're hoping to be able to build on it.
So can we say that Perry's the starter moving forward?
Perry is our starting quarterback.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Kevin, Mike, thank you very much as well.
That was the Maryland athletic director and now interim head coach. A look at the career for Randy Edsall, which is now over as head coach at Maryland. 34 losses in 5 seasons, and 25 of them by double digits. He was not very good in his conference games, as you can see there. 0-12 against ranked teams. Never won against a ranked opponent. And, of course, their main non-conference rival, West Virginia, they played 5 times. He only had 1 victory. There will be much more coming up on this Monday morning here on BTN on our show, Big Ten Football and Beyond. We'll have head coach Dave Wanstedt there to be able to give his opinion and insight on this as well.